Ancient Egyptian religion lasted for more than 3,000 years, and consisted of a complex polytheism. The pharaoh's role was to sustain the gods in order to maintain order in the universe. The religion of ancient Egypt lasted for more than 3,000 years, and was polytheistic, meaning there were a multitude of deities, who were believed to reside within and control the forces of nature. Religious practices were deeply embedded in the lives of Egyptians, as they attempted to provide for their gods and win their favor. The complexity of the religion was evident as some deities existed in different manifestations and had multiple mythological roles. The pantheon included gods with major roles in the universe, minor deities, or demons, foreign gods, and sometimes humans, including deceased pharaohs. Formal religious practice centered on the pharaoh, or ruler, of Egypt, who was believed to be divine, and acted as intermediary between the people and the gods. His role was to sustain the gods so that they could maintain order in the universe, and the state spent its resources generously to build temples and provide for rituals. The pharaoh was associated with Horus, and later Amun, and seen as the son of Ra. Upon death, the pharaoh was fully deified, directly identified with Ra and associated with Osiris, the god of death and rebirth. However, individuals could appeal directly to the gods for personal purposes through prayer or requests for magic. As the pharaoh's power declined, this personal form of practice became stronger. Popular religious practice also involved ceremonies around birth and naming. The people also invoked magic, called hika, to make things happen using natural forces. Cosmology. The Egyptian universe centered on Ma'at, which has several meanings in English, including truth, justice, and order. It was fixed and eternal, without it the world would fall apart, and there were constant threats of disorder requiring society to work to maintain it. Inhabitants of the cosmos included the gods, the spirits of deceased humans, and living humans, the most important of which was the pharaoh. Humans should cooperate to achieve this, and gods should function in balance. Ma'at was renewed by periodic events, such as the annual Nile flood, which echoed the original creation. Most important of these was the daily journey of the sun god Ra. Egyptians saw the earth as flat land, the god Geb, over which arched the sky, goddess Nut. They were separated by Shu, the god of air. Underneath the earth was a parallel underworld and undersky, and beyond the skies lay Nu, the chaos before creation. Duat was a mysterious area associated with death and rebirth, and each day Ra passed through Duat after traveling over the earth during the day. Myths. Egyptian myths are mainly known from hymns, ritual and magical texts, funerary texts, and the writings of Greeks and Romans. The creation myth saw the world as emerging as a dry space in the primordial ocean of chaos, marked by the first rising of Ra. Other forms of the myth saw the primordial god Adam transforming into the elements of the world, and the creative speech of the intellectual god Ta. The most important myth was of Osiris and Isis. The divine ruler Osiris was murdered by Set, god of chaos, then resurrected by his sister and wife Isis to conceive an heir, Horus. Osiris then became the ruler of the dead, while Horus eventually avenged his father and became king. This myth set the pharaohs, and their succession, as orderliness against chaos. The afterlife. Egyptians were very concerned about the fate of their souls after death, and built tombs, created grave goods and gave offerings to preserve the bodies and spirits of the dead. They believed humans possessed Ka, or life force, which left the body at death. To endure after death, the Ka must continue to receive offerings of food. It could consume the spiritual essence of it. Humans also possessed a Ba, a set of spiritual characteristics unique to each person, which remained in the body after death. Funeral rites were meant to release the Ba so it could move, rejoin with the Ka, and live on as an Ak. However, the Ba returned to the body at night, so the body must be preserved. Mummification involved elaborate embalming practices, and wrapping in cloth, along with various rites, including the opening of the mouth ceremony. Tombs were originally mastabas, rectangular brick structures, and then pyramids. However, this originally did not apply to the common person. They passed into a dark, bleak realm that was the opposite of life. Nobles did receive tombs and grave gifts from the pharaoh. Eventually, by about 2181 BCE, Egyptians began to believe every person had a Ba and could access the afterlife. By the New Kingdom, the soul had to face dangers in the Duat before having a final judgment, called the weighing of the heart, where the gods compared the actions of the deceased while alive to Ma'at, to see if they were worthy. If so, the Ka and Ba were united into an Ak, which then either traveled to the lush underworld, or traveled with Ra on his daily journey, or even returned to the world of the living to carry out magic. Rise and fall of gods. Certain gods gained a primary status over time, and then fell as other gods overtook them. These included the sun god Ra, the creator god Amun, and the mother goddess Isis. There was even a period of time where Egypt was monotheistic, under Pharaoh Akhenaten, and his patron god Aten. The relationships of deities. Just as the forces of nature had complex interrelationships, so did Egyptian deities. Minor deities might be linked, or deities might come together based on the meaning of numbers in Egyptian mythology, i.e., pairs represented duality. Deities might also be linked through syncretism, creating a composite deity. Artistic depictions of gods. Artistic depictions of gods were not literal representations, since their true nature was considered mysterious. However, symbolic imagery was used to indicate this nature. An example was Anubis, a funerary god, who was shown as a jackal to counter its traditional meaning as a scavenger, and create protection for the mummy. Temples. Temples were the state's method of sustaining the gods, as their physical images were housed and cared for. They were not a place for the average person to worship. They were both mortuary temples to serve deceased pharaohs and temples for patron gods. Starting as simple structures, they grew more elaborate, and were increasingly built from stone, with a common plan. Ritual duties were normally carried out by priests, or government officials serving in the role. In the New Kingdom, professional priesthood became common, and their wealth rivaled that of the pharaoh. Rituals and festivals. Aside from numerous temple rituals, including the morning offering ceremony and reenactments of myths, there were coronation ceremonies and the Sed festival, a renewal of the pharaoh's strength during his reign. The Opet festival at Karnak involved a procession carrying the god's image to visit other significant sites. Animal worship. At many sites, Egyptians worshipped specific animals that they believed to be manifestations of deities. Examples include the Apis bull, of the god Ta, and mummified cats and other animals. Use of oracles. Commoners and pharaohs asked questions of oracles, and answers could even be used during the New Kingdom to settle legal disputes. This might involve asking a question while a divine image was being carried, and interpreting movement, or drawing lots. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out other tracks as well. Show your love by hitting the subscribe button and do like, comment and share, to spread knowledge. See you next time. Till then, keep learning for fun.